Hello, everybody, and welcome to chapter 27 of the book of Bereishit as we continue to travel through Tanach. Chapter 27 has 46 verses and it's found in the Koran Saks Chumash on page 170 and 171. In this chapter, we are going to read about the seemingly morally problematic episode of Yaakov stealing the brachot from his brother Esav. We will read about how he seems to take advantage of his father Yitzchak, who at this point has grown old and does not have good eyesight, and he is preparing to bless Esav. And while Esav is out of the picture, Rivka is going to tell Yaakov to step in, disguise himself as Esav, and go to his father to receive the blessing instead. Yaakov will be successful, and Yitzchak will give him a blessing of material abundance and leadership. And when Esav later arrives and the truth emerges, Yitzchak will only give him a secondary blessing, a perhaps inferior blessing, which will leave Esav harboring deep resentment, which will prompt Rivka to send Yaakov away in order to protect him from Esav's anger, especially as Esav indicates that he is planning to kill his own brother. This will set us up for the next chapter, where Yaakov will be on the run and will go and stay with his uncle Lavan, which is where he will start to build his family. With that introduction in mind, let us start with chapter 27, verse 1. Vayihi ki zaken Yitzchak, and when Yitzchak had grown old, vatichahena einav me'os, and his eyes had grown dim, and he could not see, vayikra es Esav beno hagadol, he summoned his eldest son, Esav. Vayomer Elav, and he said, Beni, my son. Vayomer Elav, and Esav said back to him, Hineni, here I am. The rabbis explain several reasons why Yitzchak's eyes had grown dim in his old age, and one of them had to do with the negative influences that Esav's wives had brought to the home. Verse 2, Vayomer, Yitzchak said to Esav, Hine nazakanti, I am old. Lo yodati yom mosi, I do not know when I will die. Verse 3, Va'ata, now, sanach elecha, telyecha v'kashtecha, take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, v'tzeh hasadeh, go out into the field, v'tzudali said, and go and hunt me some game. Verse 4, Va'asei li matamim ka'asher ahavti, make me delicious food, prepared in the way that I love, v'havia li va'ochela, and bring it to me to eat. Ba'avur tevarechecha nafshi b'terem amus, so that my soul may bless you before I die. Verse 5, V'rivka shomas v'daber Yitzchak el Esav beno. Rivka was listening as Yitzchak was speaking to his son Esav, and our rabbis point out that she would always be listening in on their conversations because of the threat that she knew that Esav posed to Yaakov. Vayelech Esav hasadeh, and Esav went out to the field, latzud said lehavi, to hunt game to bring back. Capitalizing on this situation, V'rivka omra el Yaakov bana lemor. Rivka said to Yaakov, her son, saying, Hine shomati esavicha, I've heard your father, medaber el Esav achicha, speaking to Esav your brother, lemor, saying, verse 7, Havia li sayid, bring me some game, va'asei li matamim va'ochela, and make me delicious food so that I may eat, va'avarechecha lifnei Adonai lifnei Mosi, and I will give you my blessing before Hashem before I die. Va'ata v'ni shema b'koli, so now my son, listen to me, la'asher ani mitzava osach, listen carefully to my instructions. Verse 9, Lechna el hatzon, go to the flock, v'kach li misham shnei g'dayei izim tovim, and bring me from there two choice young goats. Ve'eseh osam matamim le'avicha ka'asher ahev, and I will make them into delicious food in the way that he loves. And our rabbis explain that this is actually the night of Pesach. And so Rivka is instructing him to bring one of these goats as a korban Pesach, one of these goats as a festive meal. Verse 10, Vehevesa le'avicha va'achal, then take it to your father to eat, ba'avur asher yevarechecha lifnei moso, so that he will give you his blessing before he dies. Verse 11, Vayomer Yaakov el Rivka imo, and Yaakov said to Rivka his mother, Hein Esav achi ish sa'ir, my brother Esav is hairy, va'anochi ish chala, and I have smooth skin. Ulai yimusheni avi, what if my father feels me, touches me, v'hayisi ve'enav kmisateya, and I will be like a fraud in his eyes. V'hevesi olai klala v'lo bracha, and I will bring upon myself a curse, not a blessing. Verse 13, Vatome lo imo, and his mother said to him, Olai kilalasacha b'ni, your curse will be on me, my son. Ach shema b'koli v'lech kachli, Just do as I say and go and fetch them for me. It is so important to remember that there is so much going on underneath the surface of this story. This isn't about trickery, this isn't about deception. Rivka and Yaakov and Yitzchak are not just actors in some dramatic soap opera. These are the patriarchs and matriarchs, the ancestors of the Jewish people, and they understand what is at stake if Esav indeed gets these brachot. And so, whereas this can become quite complicated when we understand that Yaakov embodies emes, he embodies truth, and yet in this chapter he seems to be participating in deception, it's important to understand that this is not a betrayal of truth, this is a defense of truth. The blessings were always destined for the right descendant. So Yaakov is not taking something that does not belong to him. He is ensuring that truth will prevail despite the misunderstanding that Yitzchak has of Esau's character. And we see with Yaakov's discomfort that this itself is evidence of his integrity. This is not coming easily to him, this is not coming naturally to him. But he understands, especially from what his mother is saying to him, that he is compelled by responsibility to do the right thing. And Rivka is willing to take full responsibility for what Yaakov is about to do. Verse 14, Vayelach, Vayikach, Vayave Li'imo. So he went, he took the goats, and he brought them to his mother. Vatas imo matamim kasher ahev aviv. And his mother prepared delicious food in the way his father loved. Verse 15, Vatikach Rivka es bigdei Esav b'no hagadol hachamudos. And Rivka took her elder son Esav's best clothes, asher itav babayis, that were with her in the house, v'talbesh es Yaakov b'no hakatan. And she put them on Yaakov, her younger son. And our rabbis point out that these special clothes were actually Esav's hunting gear. He wore a particular set of clothes whenever he went out to hunt, and you'll remember that he is a very skilled huntsman. And one of the incredible deeper layers to Esav's clothing is that this was actually items of clothing that he had taken from Nimrod when he killed Nimrod. And actually, there were some unique properties to this clothing that whenever he would wear them, animals would approach him, which would make it very easy for him to be able to slaughter them. On this occasion, though, Esau, who is an individual who excels in kibbud av, in honoring his father, he decides that because of the importance of this occasion and the brachot, the blessings that he's going to receive, he decides that he is going to leave these clothes at home so that he can go out and put more effort into the animal that he's going to trap and hunt. And in that way, he will actually be giving more honor to his father because of his additional effort. So his clothes are left at home. He is out in the field trying to find a deer to kill. And so Rivka sees these clothes at home, which is how Yitzchak would usually identify him. So perfect. Now she can give the clothes to Yaakov. Verse 16, Ve'esaros gedaye ha'yezim hilbisha al yadav. She put the goat skins on his hands, v'al chelkas savarav, and on the smooth part of his neck. These would be the exposed part of his body, which if Yitzchak was to feel him, he would know that something was up. Verse 17, Vatitein esamatamim ve'esalechem asher asasa biyad Yaakov bana. She then handed her son Yaakov the delicious food and bread that she had prepared. Verse 18, Vayavo el aviv, vayomer avi. He went into his father, and he said, My father. Vayomer hineni. His father said, Here I am. Mi ata bani. Who are you, my son? Verse 19, Vayomer Yaakov el aviv. And Yaakov said to his father, Anochi Esav bechorecha, asisi kasher dibarta elai. I am Esav, your firstborn. I have done as you asked. Although here the commentaries point out that this could be read a slightly different way, which perhaps would reduce or absolve Yaakov of betraying the truth. And it would go like this. Vayomer Yaakov el aviv, and Yaakov said to his father, Anochi, I am, meaning I am who I am, or I have done as you had expected of me. Esav bechorecha, Esav is your firstborn. Asisi kasher dibarta elai. I have done what you have asked of me. Kumna shava, please sit up. Va'achla mitzedi ba'avur tavarachani nafshecha. Eat some of my game so that your soul may bless me. Verse 20. Vayomer Yitzchak el beno. And Yitzchak asked his son, Mazeh miharta limtzor b'ni. How did you find it so quickly, my son? Vayomer, and he said, Ki hikra Adonai Elohecha lefanai. Hashem brought it about for me. And perhaps Yitzchak at this point is a bit suspicious that his son is invoking the name of Hashem, especially if this is meant to be Esav. Perhaps this was a bit uncharacteristic. So verse 21, Vayomer Yitzchak el Yaakov, Yitzchak said to Yaakov, Geshana, Va'amushacha b'ni. Come close and let me feel you, my son. Ha'ata zeh b'ni Esav imlo. Are you indeed my son Esav or not? Verse 22. Vayigash Yaakov el Yitzchak aviv, vayimushehu. So Yaakov came close to Yitzchak his father, and he felt him. Vayomer, and he said, Yitzchak said, Hakol kol Yaakov, the voice is the voice of Yaakov, v'hayadayim yedei Esav, and the hands are the hands of Esav. Verse 23, V'lo hikiro, ki hayu yadav, hidei Esav achiv, seiros. And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy, like those of his brother Esav. Vayvarchehu, and so he blesses him. Verse 24, Vayomer, and he says, Ata ze b'ni Esav, are you really my son Esav? Vayomer, ani. And Yaakov replies, I am. Verse 25, Vayomer, Hagisha li, v'ochla mitzed b'ni, then serve me and let me eat my son's game, leman tevarechecha nafshi, so that my soul may bless you. Vayagesh lo, he served him, vayochal, and he ate, vayaveh lo, yayin, vayesht, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Verse 26, Vayomer elav Yitzchak aviv, then his father Yitzchak said to him, Geshana, ushakali b'ni, come close and kiss me, my son. Verse 27, Vayigash, he came close, vayishak lo, and he kissed him, vayarach es reach begadav, and he smelled the smell of his clothes, vayivarachehu, and he blessed him. Vayomer, he said, Re'ei reach b'ni kareach sadeh asher beracho Adonai. The smell of my son is the smell of the field that Hashem has blessed. Our rabbis point out that he is smelling the smell of Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden at this point. Verse 28, V'yiten lecha ha'elohim mital hashamayim u'mishmanei ha'aretz. And now the main part of the blessing that Yitzchak gives him. May Hashem endow you with dew of heaven, the cream of the land, v'rov dagan v'sirosh, much grain and wine. Meaning, may you have an abundance of material blessing. Verse 29, Ya'avducha amim, may peoples serve you. V'yishtachavu lecha le'umim, may nations bow down to you. Hevei gevir le'achecha, be lord over your brothers. V'yishtachavu lecha b'nei imecha, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Orarecha arur, may those who curse you be cursed. Umevarachecha baruch, and may those who bless you be blessed. Verse 30, Vayihi ka'asher kila Yitzchak levarich es Yaakov. And just as Yitzchak had finished blessing Yaakov, Vayihi ach yatzor yatsa Yaakov mi'es pnei Yitzchak aviv. And just after Yaakov had left his father Yitzchak, the Esav achiv ba mitzedo. So now Esav, his brother, comes back from his hunt. Verse 31, Vayas gam hu matamim. He too prepared delicious food. Vayaveh la'aviv, and he brought it to his father. Vayomer la'aviv, and he said to his father, Yakum avi v'yochal mitzed beno. Let my father sit up and eat some of his son's game. Ba'avur tvarachani nafshecha, so that your soul may bless me. And you can compare and contrast the difference in the way that Esav speaks to Yitzchak to the way that Yaakov speaks to Yitzchak earlier in the chapter. Verse 32, Vayomer lo Yitzchak aviv, mi ata? And Yitzchak his father said to him, mi ata, who are you? Vayomer, and Esav said, Ani bincha v'chorcha Esav. I am your son, your firstborn Esav. Verse 33, Vayecharad Yitzchak charada gadola ad ma'od. Yitzchak was seized with a violent fit of trembling. Vayomer, and he said, Mi efohu hatzad sayid, vayaveli va'achol mikol b'terem tavo. Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it all before you came, va'avarchenu, and I blessed him. Gam baruch yihiyeh, and he will be blessed. Verse 34, Ishmor Esav es divrei aviv. When Esav heard his father's words, Vayitzak tzaka gadola umara ad ma'od. He burst into a loud and bitter cry, realizing that he has foregone these important material blessings. Vayomer la'aviv, and he said to his father, Baracheni gam ani avi. Bless me too, my father. Verse 35, Vayomer, and Yitzchak said, Ba achicha b'mirma, your brother came in deceit, Vayikach birchasecha, and took your blessing. Verse 36, Vayomer, and he said, Esav said, Hachi karash shemo Yaakov. Is he not rightly named Yaakov? Essentially saying Yaakov by name, Yaakov by nature. Vayakveni therefore mayim es b'chorasi lakach. Twice he has supplanted me. He took my birthright. V'hinei ata lakach birchasi. And now he has taken my blessing. Vayomar, and he said, Esav said to Yitzchak, Halo atzalta li bracha, do you not have any blessing left for me? And it's at this point that Yitzchak must have realized that Yaakov had done the right thing and that he's been holding back on giving any further blessings. Because if this firstborn blessing has gone to Yaakov, and in fact, Esav's just told him that he had sold the birthright to Yaakov, so now he must be worried about what Esav is really like. Verse 37, Vayan Yitzchak, and Yitzchak answered, Vayomer Esav, and he said to Esav, Hein Gevir Samtiv Lach, I have made him lord over you, Ves Kol Echav Nasati Lo Lavadim, and given him all his brothers as servants. V'dagan v'sirosh smachtiv, I've endowed him with grain and wine. Ulecha efo, ma e'aseh b'ni, what then can I do for you, my son? Yitzchak is realizing that Esau was only focused on the material blessing anyway, whereas Yaakov was going to be now benefiting from the material abundance which had been promised to him, as well as the spiritual blessing which was coming his way anyway. So what is left for Esav? Verse 38, Vayomer Esav el Aviv. So Esav says to his father, Havaracha achas hi lecha avi. Have you only one blessing, father? Baracheni gam ani avi. Bless me too, my father. Vayisa Esav kolo vayef. And Esav wept aloud. Verse 39, Vayan Yitzchak aviv, and Yitzchak his father answered, Vayomer elav, and said to him, Hinei mishmanei haaretz yihyeh moshavecha, of the fatness of the land your home shall be, umital hashamayim me'al, and of the dew of heaven above. Verse 40, V'al charbacha sichyeh, by the sword you will live, ve'es achicha ta'avod, and you will serve your brother. V'haya kasher tarid, but when you break loose, ufarakta ulo me'al tzavarecha, you will throw off his yoke from your neck. Verse 41, Vayistom Esav es Yaakov. Esav resented Yaakov, al habracha asher barachu aviv, because of the blessing his father had given him. Vayomer Esav belibo, and Esav said in his heart, he said to himself, Yikrevu yemei evel avi, the days of mourning for my father are approaching. Va'harga es Yaakov achi, and then I will kill my brother Yaakov. Why does Esav say that he's going to wait for Yitzchak to die before taking his revenge on Yaakov? Why won't he kill him immediately? There are many different answers to this. One answer is that because of the kibbud av, because of the respect and honor that he gave to his father, he would not want to hurt Yitzchak's feelings by killing Yaakov. Another answer is that he was afraid that Yitzchak would react by cursing him for killing Yaakov. Another answer is that he wanted to avoid the mistake that Cain made when he killed Hevel, because when Hevel died, Adam was still alive. And he went on to have another son. He went on to have Sheth. So Esav thought he would be cleverer by waiting for Yitzchak to die first before killing Yaakov. Then he would end up being Yitzchak's sole heir. So we can see that there are many different answers to this. Verse 42, Vayugad leRivka es divrei Esav ben Hagadol. When Rivka was told what her eldest son Esav had said, Vatishlach vatikra leYaakov ben hakatan, she summoned her younger son Yaakov, Vatomer elav, and she said to him, Hinei Esav achicha misnachem lecha lehargecha. Your brother Esav is consoling himself with the thought of killing you. Verse 43, Va'ata v'ni shema b'koli. So now, my son, listen to me. Bekum barach lecha el Lavan achi Harana. Flee at once to my brother Lavan in Haran. Verse 44, V'yashavta imo yamim achadim. Stay with him for a few days, ad asher tashuv chamas achicha, until your brother's anger subsides. Ad shuv av achicha mimcha, when your brother is no longer angry with you, v'shachach es asher asisa lo, and has forgotten what you did to him, v'sholachti u'lekachticha misham. I will send word to you to come back. Lama eshkal gam shneichem yom echad. Why should I lose you both in one day? Again, another strange thing to say. Why would she lose both of them in one day? One answer is because if Esav would kill Yaakov, then essentially there would be a bounty on his head for someone to come and kill Esav in return. Our rabbis also point out that there is a bit of prophecy in what she says here, because the sources teach that actually on the day that Yaakov died and was buried in the cave of Machpelah, Esav also died on that day. Finally, verse 46, Vatomer Rivka el Yitzchak. Rivka then said to Yitzchak, Katzti v'chayai mipnei benos Ches. I'm disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Ches, which is alluding to the wives of Esav, who were intensely problematic. Im lokeach Yaakov isha mibnos ches, ha'ele mibnos haaretz, lama li chayim. If Yaakov marries a Hittite woman like them, one of the women of the land, why should I go on living? And even though this brings us to the end of chapter 27, the beginning of chapter 28 is really a follow on from this, and we will see that Yitzhak will instruct Yaakov to go and marry a woman from the house of Lavan. But for that, we will have to wait until chapter 28. I look forward to learning chapter 28 with you, but in the meantime, have a wonderful and meaningful day.